Hello, welcome to Act 3, Scene 5. Last scene in this act. It's kind of a short scene, a little bit of conversations here and there, and it's getting us ready for the big scene coming up in the next act. We are back at Belmont. Remember, Portia and Nerissa are going to dress up like men, and they're headed off to Venice. Meanwhile, back in Belmont, we have a small conversation between Launcelot and Jessica. And then Lorenzo shows up, has a small conversation with Launcelot. Then Lorenzo takes off, and we have a small conversation with Jessica and Lorenzo. So that's what's going on in this scene. Let's look at this opening conversation between Launcelot and Jessica. Launcelot is being really rude with her, right? Explaining that she's going to go to hell. Since your father is a Jew, is not a Christian, doesn't believe in Christ coming back, rising from the cross, and saving everybody from the perils of hell, Jews are going to go to hell. Because you were born of a Jew, because of your father, those sins are going to carry down you, you're going to go to hell. That's a rude thing to say to anybody. But here, Lancelot goes on to say that you have a chance. Maybe Shylock isn't your father. Maybe your mother had an affair and somebody else is your father. Well, then the sins of the mother are going to carry over to Jessica, and she's going to go to hell that way. So it's that old saying, damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a no-win scenario. Lancelot's just being rude, and he's doing this to Jessica just to kind of explain her plight. Shakespeare did this to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, because it's going to get serious in the next act. Okay, this play is a comedy. I'll talk about that later in another scene. But Shakespeare here is just lightening the mood because the next one is big. And then after that, he talks about how since she is converted to a Christian, there'll be more people eating pork, and the prices of pork now in Venice are going to go up. So it's just, she can't do anything right. Lancelot's just being rude to her, and they're talking. And usually when this is played, Jessica is acting like this is all a joke, and she knows it's a joke, and she doesn't take it seriously. Lorenzo shows up, and he says a couple things that he might be jealous of Lancelot, getting his wife into corners and talking to her. And Jessica explains what's going on. And Lorenzo calls Lancelot out because he got a servant girl pregnant. And because of this, Lancelot starts putting out all of these racist puns about being more of the servant and her being a more. It's silliness, and it's a little racist, and it's kind of what Shakespeare was doing there. After they're done with their more puns, they start arguing over the proper way to announce dinner, whether it's served or covered or announced. And Lancelot is trying to act graceful, trying to act important, as if he's trying to impress someone, which he is not doing. He goes off to prepare dinner properly. And then we are left with Jessica and Lorenzo. And Lancelot, they talk about him being a fool, knowing all sorts of words, not knowing how to use them. And we see that through typical Shakespearean language. And then they talk about Portia and Bassanio, how they are being the perfect match. And then they also relate themselves to being like them, the perfect match. Okay, so in this play, we have two couples getting together. Three, if you count Gratiano and Nerissa, which is kind of like Romeo and Juliet, but upping the stakes some. And they say, you know, let's just stop talking. Let's wait till dinner, and we'll continue praising each other at dinner. And they go inside for dinner. And that's the end of the scene. So there's not a lot going on. It really doesn't push the plot, but it gets us ready for what's going to happen next. The plot line with the rings is still kind of interesting. They weren't mentioned, but we did bring up Portia and Bassanio. So we have some interest in what's going to happen with them. We know something's going to happen with the rings. Why'd they go away? Right? Bassanio went back to Venice. And Portia is dressing up like a man to go back to Venice. And this is all about Antonio's bond and Shylock trying to cut off that pound of flesh. So this next act is going to be big. All right. So we will end it here. Have a great day.